Sam Whitaker, the producer-director, also to come up and join us on the stage as well. Sam, thank you. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, let's begin. The intention really is a question and answer from yourselves, from our guests here in the audience, but I wish I could start off with one question. You've seen the first of the films. Why don't I just take some instant reactions from you. So, Donna, what did you think when you saw yourself up there? Tell us a bit about what was going through your mind.
Wow. I really don't know what to say. It was a bit strange to begin with. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm really tongue-in-cheek with most people, and I find my transition quite funny. I don't take it too seriously. I think if I do, I'll be crying most of the time. But life to me is about having fun and having a laugh, and you know. And I think when I first watched it, I thought, oh no, I come across as such a bitch. And then I thought, actually, you do. No. And then I thought, well, yeah. And no, it was just sort of. And then no, it's all very tongue-in-cheek, and the whole thing is the show is a very, very serious topic, but it's also quite nice to bring some funny side into it, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's difficult enough to do, you know.
And Fox, yourself, same question to you. How did you feel when you were watching yourself there and some of the subjects you talked about?
It was interesting to look at because obviously they filmed a lot and they edited it down and it's become this episode. So it's interesting to look at it from that perspective because I feel quite removed from it in a way.
Yeah.
You know, even though I'm watching myself and people I'm very close to, it still feels like it's someone else's journey.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me. It was a really special environment. I mean, the whole retreat aspect of it kind of moves it beyond the traditional transgender documentary where they introduce the person, go to the GIC, the Gender Identity Clinic, and you know, look towards surgery or hormones and that sort of thing, which is wonderful and that's really good to have. But this adds this other interactive element which we all enjoyed so much, and hopefully what came across was how much we enjoyed it and how much we really took a lot from it as well.
Yeah. Drew, yourself, what was your thinking about it?
How orange I was. I think it's interesting because
it's just the online.
I think it's interesting. It's interesting watching it because looking back, it's amazing how far I think I've come in myself. Like, I don't really recognise myself back then. I think I've become a lot more of a confident person, and I think just in general the whole thing's been an amazing experience, and I think it's really refreshing that, you know, people get to see a different side of trans people.
And you all come from remarkably different experiences, but also different parts of the UK and all the rest of it, and presumably it's the case that prior to having gone to the retreat you might have also felt to some extent isolated a bit in your life, in the sense that, you know, it's not always the case that you can have that experience, or that experience is put together. Was that a key issue for you, actually, meeting people with different stories to tell?
Yeah, I think it was. I think, like, for a long time, you know, I kind of felt stuck, and, you know, you see so many people who are transgendered on television and in the media, but you kind of still feel like you're on your own, and you feel like you can't talk about, you know, subjects to ordinary people because they don't understand. And, you know, there's only so many times you can, like, be depressed in front of them and then they'll get, you know, annoyed at you.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, meeting everyone made you feel normal again. I thought, you know, meeting everyone in the room. It was the first time. I'd never met anyone transgendered before. The only time I'd seen transgender people was on the media, and it was just amazing just to know that there are people out there like you.
I mean, one of the scary things about telly is that people see you, so you're probably more concerned than ever about things like looks and how you come over and how you behave and whether your true personality comes out. Do you feel that it kind of reflects facets of your personality?
Well, the trashiness. But I think it, you know, I'm just a normal person, you know, I have a laugh, and, you know, I think you know, I have this look where it's quite over the top, but really I'm just, you know, a normal, like, boring person.
You look over the top.
You know,
that true for the rest of you as well? Fox, did you feel that you were seeing facets of your real personality up there?
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt very, very vulnerable at the start of the documentary, and it's incredible. From every weekend that we did, I walked away from that a more confident person.
Yeah, yeah. And Sarah, yourself? Donna, rather? I'm mild.
Do I blend in?
Don't worry.
People don't know who I am, that's the problem.
Sorry, my apologies, Donna.
No, it's fine. What was the question again?
The question is, did you see a facet of your personality up there?
What's that? Does that mean like the same as me?
God,
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I think so. But it wasn't anyone else, was it?
No.
I'd like to deny it. It's out there. It's out on television tomorrow.
Which kind of brings me then to Sam here, because clearly, obviously, Sam, that has been a big journey for you as well. But when you're working on any form of television, you're casting characters, aren't you? You're looking for people that when they place together, you'll get some facet of the difference in their kind of personalities and all the rest of it. So when you were kind of meeting people and trying to say to them, come on this journey, come and get involved in this programme, did you find people resistant to the idea or not?
Do you know what? It was remarkably similar to casting any other doc that we made.
Yeah.
You know, it was always, casting is always a kind of numbers game. You speak to enough people and you find people who understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, we found 7 just remarkable individuals, actually, you know, that were ready to kind of stand up and say, this is me, and I'm proud, and it was extraordinary.
What will we see? We've seen episode 1. What will we see?
From here on in, it increasingly becomes about your lives outside of the retreat. And I think just, you know, we get into that sense of the day-to-day challenges of being trans. And I think particularly Lewis, particularly Drew. I mean, Drew I speak to, you know, we keep talking, and she's, you know, working and has a job as a waitress in a small cafe in a shopping centre, and the pride that I hear in you on the phone saying, I've just come out of work, and it's great. And that's just so nice. I mean, that's extraordinary. That is an utter difference.
What I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to get you guys to ask some more questions. So who's going to lead us off with questions for the... Yes, please. And if we could, just make sure that you get the microphone, because this is going out on... We're doing a webcast of this as well.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Sarah Brown, LGBT Liberal Democrat, so I chair the Transgender Working Group. One of the, I guess, criticisms of transgender people you often get from the kind of radical feminist perspective is that we are, quote-unquote, artificial. We represent gender stereotypes. And I think, and in particular, they target trans women with this in terms of adopting, as they see it, a sort of outrageous view of femininity. And that's a very hypocritical position, because we're not doing anything when we transition that millions of teenage girls aren't doing, frankly, when they're sort of going through the experience of what it is to become an adult woman. We're doing exactly the same thing. And in a way it's also cruel, because to an extent we have, I guess we're starting from a place that is very hard for us personally, you know, particularly when we start taking estrogen, when we start getting facial hair removal. It's not an easy time, and I did notice in the programme a lot of time was spent focusing on, particularly on the women doing their makeup. Now, I mean, this struck me particularly because as a woman in my late 30s, like a lot of women in their late 30s, I don't wear makeup. I did when I transitioned, I don't now. And I just wonder what the kind of editorial decision behind that was.
Okay, Sam, why don't you talk about that, because it is quite an interesting one. It's one of those things where, you know, those challenges are there, and you'll remember as well in the kind of journey that we were going on in the making of this, one of the big areas that we started to look at is how do you find, as it were, a kind of popular format or vehicle that could make something work in the prime time of the Channel 4 schedule that would be hugely popular and viewed by a lot of people across the UK, which I'm pretty confident this will be. And therefore, to some extent, we had an anxiety about even the idea of, you know, if you cast something in a house, does it therefore look as if it's following the format that was established with Big Brother, which Channel 4 has now moved away from. And so there's a whole set of issues internally that we were looking at around, you know, issues of format, issues of casting, and all the rest of it. But over to yourself, Sam. How would you answer the question?
It's funny, in talking to Paris Lees, who I know from Transmedia Watch. We have fallen into the classic cliche of documentaries about trans. I know we have, and I kind of do the sort of mea culpa on that front. But at the same time as doing that, that sequence in particular for me felt like a day in the life of being trans. And it felt very much like this is what you do each day to be accepted by others.
It's true. The whole makeup issue actually is a really big deal for a lot of trans women. That's the reason why it's a big deal in the show. It's to get more of a fact of, it's not a representative of every trans woman, it's a representation of us. And that's what it is. We can't give a representation of every trans woman, it's impossible, we cannot do it. The only thing we can do is go statistically, and statistically makeup is a massive part of trans women's lives. There's most trans women.
Can I also just say you were talking about
Really simply, one of the nice things was that 7 different people, 7 different experiences.
Yeah, and there was a question there, and then I'll come to you. There's a question there.
Yeah, for the panellists, I'm Kelly Sonks, chair of the Kent Transgender Forum. Just curious to know, given the exposure that you're going to receive from this and that you've already received in terms of interviews and so on, are you looking to disappear after the show and get on with normal lives, or are you looking to stand up and become kind of role models? Are you looking to speak on the transgender agenda? Where do you plan to go from here?
I think I'd like to blend in. To be perfectly honest, the way I live my life, the sort of clothes I like to wear, the whole sort of thing. I like to wear lots of makeup. I like to, I go to costume sales to get clothes and this sort of thing. It's my life the way I want to live. It won't let me. It's not the fact I don't want to, but it's the fact if I want to do something that I want to do, then I'm almost not allowed. Do you understand that? That's something that comes across with trying to be your own person as well. There are a lot of people who want to blend in. There's some people, like you had a rough time with some people before, haven't you? And you've said, if only, it could be a bit different. But it's different for everyone.
Do you feel, when the show goes out and you return back home, is it Wakefield you're from, is it?
Yeah.
Wakefield, yeah. You go back to Wakefield and you're and you're outside Unity Hall, that's Wakefield, isn't it?
What?
You used to be there anyway. So what happens when you're walking around Wakefield? There was a scene there. Do you feel more vulnerable that you've been on television, or are you likely to, or not?
I think whether being on television or not, I'm still going to get attention. Pretty much every girl in Wakefield is short, brunette, pale. I'm this tall, bleach blonde, big boobs, fake tans girl walking down the street. You don't see that every day, and I pretty much stand out because of that, whether I was genetic female or not. And the reason I did the programme was because I wanted to show myself as a normal person, but also to show that I want a normal life, but there's people that won't let me. It's society that's not letting me have a normal life. All I wanted to do was get a job, in a cafe or coffee shop and, earn money, pay rent, that's it. And originally I didn't want to go down the route of doing a documentary because I knew that I would have got the exposure, because I did want to blend in, but I think doing it, it's changed my life, for the better, and whether I blend in or not, it's not an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sue Sanders. I'm co-chair of Schools Out in LGBT History Month. I wanted to say an enormous thank you. I think what you've done is incredibly important, and I wanted to thank Channel 4. I wanted to remind you that February is Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender History Month, so it would be really splendid to see some of the work that you're doing going out in February. Yeah. The diversity is crucially important. We're an all-white group this evening, and I'm really excited to hear that on stage, and on the programme. I beg your pardon, Fox. It wasn't. I beg your pardon. So that's. I'm corrected. Thank you. I'm hoping that will become clear as it moves on, because my perception was that, and I'm sorry it was wrong, but my guess is if I perceive that, maybe other people will, but maybe I'm the only one in the room who made that mistake, and I apologise. But the diversity is crucial, and therefore I was really excited to hear about the Pakistani issue.
Yeah, it's a really, really fascinating
It's
film.
crucial that we see that, and also that we see the whole range, and it was great that we had a range of an age range in there as well.
Thank you very much
So
indeed.
thank you for that, and also that in a fortnight's time we will be doing the pre-launch of LGBT History Month. Lynn Featherstone, who's in the audience, will be there as well. And February is clearly a time when we can get more diversity and more information out, and it's really great that you've been doing it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions, or some of our other cast members are over in the corner there. Cam, Sarah, Lewis, Max are all there. So round of applause for them. Yeah. Anything that you want to comment on or add, or is there another question? Another question, yeah.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Sheila Sheldrick. I'm a committee member of Mermaids that supports families and young people with gender issues. And first of all, well done Channel 4 for producing this programme, and well done for choosing 2020, because I think they've done you proud. And massive respect to these guys for putting themselves up in front of the camera to expose themselves, really, because it helps all the young people coming through in the future. So well done to you. I know there's only 3 of you there, but I'd really be interested to know what your why you did this actually. What was your, what inspired you to put yourself forward and take part in this programme?
So let's start. Let's Fox. Let's go with you. Yeah.
Sure. Well, I had this idea that because I'm at the beginning of my transition, in a year's time I'm not going to look the same as this at all, so I could disappear. But also because when I was deciding for however many years about going down this really difficult path, but obviously the only path I could choose, I had so much solace from looking at documentaries and YouTube videos and anything else I could get my hands on. I would watch them for hours and hours and hours, and I would cry my heart out. And I don't know, I mean, it's a chance to have a voice and to step up, and I took it, I didn't want to look back and always regret not doing it. And, I think in a naive way, I didn't have any idea that it would be this big as well. I don't own a television, and...
Shocking admission. Donna, what about you? What motivated you?
Well, the thing is, there's a high percentage of trans people and that don't have such a good time with being trans. It's not the fact that they're not having a good time, it's having the fact of it actually being a struggle for so many people, and it's never been a struggle for me. It's been wonderful. I've never had to worry about being trans. It's just something, it's a progression that happened in my life, and I wanted to bring that across, because there also is quite a few people who have never had a problem with being trans, and they've been quite lucky in that, and I know I'm very lucky, and if I could give some of what I've had to some other people, I'd love to do that. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to show people that, just get on with your life. It's not, it depends on your circumstances, but it's all, sorry, it depends on your circumstances, but it's not always difficult. It's not.
I think it was the message behind the documentary. With other documentaries, it's always focused on hormones and surgery, and for me, as a transgender person, we're not just about that. That's a tiny percentage of our lives. I wanted to show people that, me myself, that I'm a normal person. I do everyday things, go shopping, go to work and things like that. And the reason I did it was I thought my life was good to begin with, but then going into the retreat, I realised that it wasn't. It's not normal to be stuck in the house 24/7 and only going out to work in a nightclub 2 nights a week. It's not a normal thing, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to change that and get a regular job like every other person.
Can I just ask about your mum, because she features in it and takes you down into the shopping arcade and whatever, and that's come up 1 or 2 times around the room about the role, or indeed in the film, the role that parents or people within your family can play, either for good or for bad. Can you tell us a wee bit about your mum and the role that she's played in your life?
My mum is my best friend, without a doubt. I knew before coming out that she would always support me, because growing up, our family was very open-minded, and you know, she would never tell me off for playing with Barbie dolls when I was a kid. It was acceptable. But I think, you know, it's a case of how do you come out, which is why I kept it secret. And my mum, since coming out, has been there 100%. She took me shopping, you know, she let me do things on my own, and she wants to show people that, you know, it doesn't matter what you are, you know, they're your child at the end of the day, and you should love them. And she loves me no matter what, you know. I'm still the same person, I've just, for me, I'm happier, and that's all she wanted for me, is to happen.
We've just got a short film we finished this week actually in Belfast.
From Trans London. I'd just like to say well done all of you. It looks like quite a brilliant programme. And one thing that struck me was the use of the word tranny, and I think from the United States there might be a bit of controversy when this comes across over to them.
It is explained through there. We put our views on the word tranny, and there's a lot of words which groups use, and they use them openly, and that is one for us.
Well, I just want to say thank you because it's reclaiming it.
It is. It's exactly what we were trying to do.
And the other thing as well is also the programme right at the very beginning mentions the numbers of trans people being killed every week, and just a reminder that on Sunday the 20th of November there'll be a remembrance commemoration in the 52 Club at Gower Street, and everyone's welcome to attend, and hope to see you there.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's Joe just there behind you, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Joe Shaw, Transmedia Watch. And can I just say, did he call Stuart those names? I wanted to just say, well done, fantastic job. I wanted to pick up on a couple of things. Something Sarah said there about the portrayal of things like the sort of makeup cliche and all that stuff. There's been a lot of talk in the community about the way in which we are portrayed in the media, and that's one of the obvious cliches. But the cliche isn't in the portrayal of people doing that. The cliche is in the kind of meaning it's given within the content of the film. And I saw the beginning of that. I thought, oh, here we go. But actually, as the thing unfolds, it plays its part and it takes its place, hopefully, in the wider story. And I completely accept what you said about that, and you both said about that. So that was an interesting sort of insight that I had as I was watching that. The other thing I just wanted to ask was that something that interested me was the use of in the voiceover of becoming a woman, becoming a man,
We were
constantly.
while we were sitting there as well.
And I felt uncomfortable with that because I don't feel that my journey has been about becoming anything other than myself, which I've always been. And whilst and nobody in this room can speak for everybody, and people will feel as they will and so forth, I know that particular way of portraying it and talking about it is often not accurate, but also will attract you. There'll be controversy about this film when it goes out, and that will be one of the areas which the controversy is focused on, because people will attack it by saying, you can't. Anyway, I just wanted to see what response you'd give to that use of language.
I think it's very fair, and I think we get better and better at it through the course of the series. I think part of it, and there's some language in there as well at the beginning, we say changing sex, and I think that's equally, not quite right, but I think part of the key thing was making a wider audience get a sense, and to be able to talk a language that the kind of nation could understand, if you see what I mean. And I think there's a lot of good language in there and positive language, and we are sort of trans and transgender and trying to not be labelling through it. And I think it's something that we improve on, so I hope that that's something that gives some kind of sense of positivity.
I'll just say as well that I think that's one of the biggest learning curves we're on, to be honest, Joe, and it's something that you brought up right at the very start. Part of this journey began with some research work that Joe helped us with around authenticity, language, just accuracy, and we did quite a lot of work with our own commissioning team and it was a really interesting voyage. And we have a lot of challenges at Channel 4 around how you take the point that Sam was making. How do you make something that's popular enough that it appeals to a very big audience? And we have high ambitions that the show will do that. And yet at the same time, meet, as it were, the nuances and sometimes the kind of specificity of language that Joe's just talked about. And one area is actually in titling, and again, the title itself might be something that some people may choose to kind of have a debate about. And it's kind of interesting as well. We're quite restricted because now that we're into a digital media world, the EPG that comes up on the kind of Sky programme guide can really take about 3 words, right? So very long titles that were once kind of de rigueur and